We can't recommend specific centers, just so you know.
Right.
But we are holding this podcast today so that we can give you some advice on when you're choosing a center so that you can make the most informed decision. And what are some ways, Joshua, that you think someone sitting in their living room in Ohio who's never been to South America, how can they use the internet to find a reliable ayahuasca center, or is it possible? I mean, I ended up finding a center when I went on the internet, but there weren't many reviews, and I ended up finding out that the shaman who ran the center had some allegations against him. There was just a lot of shady stuff going on. I know there's some shady characters as well as amazing characters in this field, but what advice do you give to someone who's sitting in their living room planning this life-changing adventure on how to pick a center?
There's a lot of information on the internet in bulletin boards or forums, or there are ayahuasca rating sites popping up. There's one called iAdvisor and a few others that I've heard about.
So it's like TripAdvisor, but for ayahuasca?
And the ESC within a year and a half or 2 years will have this form of self-regulation where sites can participate in the consensus building around the ayahuasca dialogues. We're calling it the ayahuasca agreement, and then can align themselves to the agreement. And there will be mechanisms for making sure that they are aligning properly, they are safe, they are sustainable, the communities are benefiting. But in the meantime, I think asking friends, looking on the internet, there is Alan Shoemaker in Iquitos has a Facebook page where he posts negative, if people have bad experiences, if they file a legal complaint against someone, like something serious.
Oh, so if they file a legal complaint in Peru.
Then he'll put it on his website.
Oh, that's awesome, because I think that so many people, I mean, how do you know? If someone has complaints against them with the Peruvian police, how are you supposed to know that? Yeah. In your Midwestern living room.
Right. And then there's like maybe as foreigners or as Westerners, we have different conceptions of what appropriate touching may be. But in traditional contexts, there's all sorts of touching. There's sucking out of negative energies that may be construed as some sort of molestation or something. But there are allegations of rape and serious concerns. So we're creating a space for people to step into the light of accountability voluntarily. The ESC won't actively, say this person is not good. We'll just allow those that want to be scrutinized or come into the community to have this space. So I think, but when you're looking for a site, it's important that there are like sitters. There are people that are not drinking ayahuasca who can help you walk to the bathroom or make sure you don't walk off into the jungle. The sites should have some sort of a first aid kit, or because you can't dial 911 in the jungle.
And that occurred to me many times. Yeah. And I thought I was going to die on the ayahuasca, even though...
You feel like you're dead. I mean, it's called the vine of the soul for a reason. It takes you into sort of past the grave in a way. And
what are some other qualities of good centers, the ones that you've seen that are just exemplary, that you guys want to really prop up with the Ethnobotanical Stewardship Council?
The best sites offer something back to the local communities. A lot of these communities are either indigenous groups that have been under the boot of the conquistadors for 500 years in the church and are disempowered, or they're mestizo communities that have moved from the city or elsewhere, and they may be slashing and burning the forest. So the best sites offer access to this traditional health system, as well as good paying jobs, as well as like permaculture and new ways of agriculture that works with the forest instead of cutting it down. The best sites know where the ayahuasca they use came from. It may be the curandero has a little plot of land in his village or her village, and the family and the villagers are harvesting it sustainably. The worst is walking days out into the Amazon and cutting down old trees to access the vines. But the nice thing about these plants is they grow within the ecosystems. They preserve. You can't have a vine without a tree for it to grow up.
So these medicines aren't to be used lightly. Just take them and then the next day just get around your business. You really need to focus on integration. Can you explain to people what integration is and how they can most effectively integrate the insights they're given on these medicines?
Yeah, integration is a really important component of finding a good site to take ayahuasca or iboga or other sacred medicines. It's sort of like group therapy when it's done best. People will often talk about their intentions before going into a ceremony and then talk about their insights afterward and have a chance to connect with people from their own culture or from trained professionals who can help integrate and provide meaning to the things that they learn and how to integrate that into their lives.
I went to a center once where they didn't do any integration. And I remember we were sitting at the breakfast table and people would come in with just these hollow looking faces trying to, they didn't know what they had seen the night before. Some were freaked out. Some had profound experiences. They just wanted to discuss it, but there were no therapists or anyone there to really help people make sense of the experience. So you're saying to really look for centers that do advertise that they actually help with the therapeutic side.
I think that's important. In a traditional context, you'd be living in the same village. You wouldn't come with all the baggage that we modern people bring to the jungle. So we're really aliens coming from a different world. And it's important to have the traditional context, but also to have people who are willing to share and help with experiences.